Good morning, Friar Talk. Okay, so I made a post this morning about how we are like our muscles being ripped and torn and then having the ability to recover and become stronger because of that. And I had mentioned more or less that like what we feed our minds and our souls is just as important as what we feed our bodies. I made that comment about McDonald's Mickey D's cheeseburger may sound convenient, but a well-balanced, nutritious diet, I guess. Like, I don't really like the word diet because it's makes it seem like, oh, you can't have the good stuff, and that's just not true. But maintaining a healthy lifestyle with the food you're putting in your body, the exercise, the meditation, the conscious contact with something that is bigger than you. It's all important. So one of the things that I do to feed my mind and my soul is personal development and meditation. And the personal development side of that could be books, self-help books, improvement books, personal development books. It could be any YouTube TED Talks. It could be I do a lot of podcasts, and yesterday I was listening to this podcast called The Overwhelmed Brain, and man, it was mind-blowing how good it was. This guy, he's an entrepreneur. He was talking about how he was abandoned when he was 6 years old. His mother had left him on the corner of some hospital and like just left him, and like, it's kind of crazy. And he was talking about getting into the foster care system and how his mother tried to come back into his life and try to take advantage of having him in her life for welfare benefits and this and that and the other, blah, blah, whatever. But he was talking in this interview to some guy, and his fiance was with him, and he was talking about how one of the foster homes he lived in, they like to treat them like animals, like dogs. He was talking about how they had them in kennels, dog kennels, made them eat dog food out of dog bowls and like leashes and stuff. And he when he was talking about it, he was real nonchalant, and the interviewer and his fiance both were looking at him like anticipating some sort of like disgust when he was talking about it, and that disgust never came. And his fiance says, "Babe, is that what you think normal is?" And he's like, "Well, that's what was normal for me." And so like it got me thinking about what's normal for me. You know, I come from a fairly religious family, and I come from an environment where pretty much all of my family members, from what my perspective at the time is that they were very spiritually in tune. And being in that environment, like, I never felt any sort of spiritual connection. I never felt like I was in tune to something bigger. I was a lost little boy who was being guided by things that I didn't understand, and it was frustrating to me, and it made me feel completely abnormal and like I didn't fit into the environment that I was in, and that was really frustrating. They were talking about, what's up, buddy? I'm doing a video. You want to say hi? This is Johnny. He's a big deal.
Hey, what's up, bro? Peace on, bro.
All right, man. We'll see you later. So, where was I? Yeah, feeling abnormal in that environment.
Come on, Chuck.
And-
You're here, so I get out of here.
And
Shut the hammer on time.
so, that being said, like, they talk about people in treatment and when dealing with addiction and alcoholism. They talk about how people who are addicts or alcoholics usually come from a dysfunctional family, And that was a really hard thing for me to grasp because I didn't really think that my family was really dysfunctional. But like looking back at it, the perception that I had was very dysfunctional. I felt like I needed to project a false image of myself to make myself appear as if I fit in. So I wasn't really trusting, and I wasn't really talking about how I felt, and I don't talk, don't trust, don't feel, and so I didn't talk about how I felt, and I didn't trust that if I did, that it would be taken in a positive light, and that's scary. So like, it might not be that hard to imagine me being an addict or an alcoholic, more so with the understanding that I have now, but totally dysfunctional family, and not really the family, but my perception of how it actually was is what was dysfunctional. So that became normal to me growing up, and most of the relationships I've ever had were projections of what I wish were or what I hoped for, and like I think that was a decent hope to an extent, but it made those relationships really, really rocky, and unfortunately, rarely did any of them last. And I do have some friendships that I had built that have lasted, but it's because of the whole amends process and the whole like honest desire to fix issues that I've created, and seeing my part in those issues, and like accepting that like just because what was normal to me then is not mean that it needs to be acceptable for the rest of my life, because I need to have progress, and I need to get outside of that comfort zone, that normal, to have growth in all areas of my life. This is kind of a long video, and I apologize, but like I just kind of wanted to get that out there. Like the whole like what we see as normal is because of what our environment that we were brought up in, and our perceptions can change, and it takes action, and it takes time, and it takes effort, and sometimes that's overwhelming, and but like the whole idea of it is to go through that discomfort and come out on the other side with some sense of a reward, like, and that might not be the most appropriate word to use, but like for a lack of better words, let's call it a reward, like joy and happiness and real connections with people that aren't fictitious. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and say deuces. Friar Talk, I see you. You are not alone. Love you guys. Deuces.